Hello everybody, my name is Stefan and I am the lead game designer, level designer, gameplay designer, environment designer, basically anything designer for Zoria Age of Shattering. In today's quick update, I will show you guys how I make an enemy for our game, and I prepared one of the Ori cultists. Ori cultists are, as the name said, they are a cult in Zoria, and I will let you guys find out what is it that they really want to do in our world, and I will hopefully you will get to interact with them and see their story. I know Neles have been working really hard on their backstory and such, and we will start with the Deathblade. He's a melee enemy, melee type. So as you can see here, the character is blank. This is the way that we imported from our character editor. So we will start by adding textures to the materials. Okay, and skin. So Ori cult, most of them they dye their clothes with white. You will see the reason if you get to read some of their lore. I'm not going to go into specifics. So this is our character. We need to clean this up a bit because as I said, when it comes from the character editor, it brings with it a few unwanted things that we do not use. For example, LOD groups and this particular script. And then I'm going to remove LOD1. We don't really use LODs unless we deem it really necessary in game. LOD, it's a level of detail. Depending on how far the camera or how close the camera is to an object that has these groups, it will display a lower quality mesh, basically. This whole whole objects would have LOD on them, so I need to remove that as well. Okay, so it has two daggers. I'm going to remove these, but first, weapon. Left weapon and right weapon. Okay, I'm going to remove this because I'll give him other daggers for this particular character. Let's see if we find something interesting. Yeah. Yeah, this one, definitely. So I just need to place them to sit correctly in his hands. I actually make these bigger. Just to note, he will be using daggers, but his attacks will actually be arcane damage. Ori cultists are all about death and arcane magic. Okay, and I need to place this in his left hand, wherever that left hand is. .7. Okay, yeah, looks decent enough. And now, for example, if we have let's say we want to trigger like a projectile, I need to add to his hand an object called trigger point, And let's say for now on him we have ability point. So trigger point will represent the point from where the projectile will spawn and will launch toward a follower. And static ability point we can actually spawn effects when they are doing certain spells, like Emonora. Whenever she casts a spell, there is an aura on the ground, like a sigil, indicating that she is casting a spell. So now that we have this one, he will also need a controller. Let's bandit multi. I'm going to use the same controller that we use for our bandits, because he's a melee and he has daggers, but he will actually be Ori Deathblade multi-controller. Yep. All right. Now that we did this cleanup stage, Gabi made character editor. As you can see here, it has different stats. Agent area mass basically states that everything that has walkable on it, any character or a follower will be able to walk on it. So it's an enemy, we can have NPC or follower or generic. So I'll just hit update, and right now it placed a bunch of scripts that Gabi made for this character creator. I'll just hit apply, and now we are using a database for our skills. So there are multiple reasons for doing that. The most important one is that we can adjust the abilities and their damage on the fly. So I made an entry in our database. It's called Deathblade Strike. It's a damage ability. It's targeted, meaning that it will attack a follower of your own. It's damage, and the type of damage is arcane. 3 meters. It's basically 3 meters. It's melee range. So he needs to go up in your character's face or your follower's face to actually be able to attack. If it has a greater range, let's say like the Prophet does, it's 9 meters. That means a projectile. And for our Deathblade, the damage would be between 24 and 35 hit points. It has 0 cooldown and 1 action point, the cost. With 1 action point, he can actually, if he's in range of one of your followers or in range of your character, Andar, your main character, he can attack twice. And as you can see here, we need to specify what kind of class he is: elemental, humanoid, dragonkin, and so on and so on. I already have an example here, this one, and he's humanoid with the enemy type 14. So I'll just go here, humanoid 14, and now it says he's an Ori cultist. This is important because we have the compendium where we share information regarding basically any enemy in our game, his strength, his weaknesses, a bit of lore, and so on. Okay, so now that we did this, I need to add here a controller as well. Alright, and here we have the power type. Level 0 means he will actually be the same level as Andar whenever you enter in that scene with this character. But we can also make him like he's level 5, for example, and he will always be level 5. But for testing purposes, I'm always leaving it to 0. It's easier to test. And then we have power type. We can have like World of Warcraft, for example, normal, elite, and boss. This actually in the background will increase his damage, his health, and initiative. Initiative is like speed in other games, for example. So we'll leave it at normal for now. And now we have the list of abilities. For now it's 0, so it's called Deathblade Strike. And we need an animation ID, let's say attack 1. We'll go into this a bit later. We can also configure, I think most of you guys know the enrage mechanics from World of Warcraft. When a boss hits a certain percentage of its life, he starts using new abilities or more powerful abilities. We can actually do this with the system Gabi implemented as well. From 0 to 100 means that he will use this ability no matter what his health is. But if we do something like this, he will start using that ability when his hit point reaches 60%. Okay, we need to do a bit more, a few more things. I'll just apply this. Okay, and we need to add the ability triggers that we talked about. Okay, and also some outline meshes. Outline meshes, we are using these whenever you hover over an enemy. You have this, like in this example, you have the yellow outline. Okay, so let's add these two as well, and the head. And the legs. All right. Okay, now we have this. We need to add an, let's check out first the animator. Yeah. So we have all this bunch of attacks. Let's take a look at this one. So as you can see, he hits with both weapons. And let's see if it has an event. This event tells the game that an ability or an animation with a hit event has been triggered, and this will actually trigger the damage itself. So it has a hit event. Let's check out other animations. Let's see. Okay, this is like a side animation. Very ruthless. Okay, so it's attack 1. We'll use attack 1 for now. As I said here, attack 1. And now I need to, let's find the Goblin Dagger Strike. I'll just duplicate this and rename it. This is just for showing you guys how the system works, because after this I will need to go and do different particle emitters and stuff like that. And I can do this. Okay. Okay, so let's try. Let's see if this actually works. Okay, so the hover and the outline mesh, it works. Let's see if it enters combat. Okay, and it works. All right. Well, this was a quick update from my part regarding how we make an enemy in our game. Of course, these are humanoid enemies, but we can also have, let's say, monstrous flyer. They are basically using the same principles. This one as an insect bite and an insect sting, with each prefab for effect and so on and so on. It also has his own animator with an attack. Let me see if I can. Yep. That's about it. Thank you guys, and see you guys soon.